Racism, strangely, is not depicted as a sin in the Bible, not in the Old or New Testament. Not even the love thy neighbor can be twisted to mean love the inferior races. It was partly racism that cost millions of Jews their lives under the Nazi regime, with Hitler viewing the Jews as a subhuman race, dirty, short in stature, and unwilling to work manual labor for a living. It was partly racism that kept African Americans from drinking from the same water fountains as whites until as late as the 1960s. But we realize now that racism, the idea that one's own race is superior to another, is simply wrong. It is a sin. Since Jesus was considered to be sinless, we would naturally expect to see Jesus, if not denouncing racism explicitly, at least conducting himself in a way that would respect people of a different race than his. What we find in Matthew, however, is an embarrassment. And a Canaanite woman from that region came out and began to cry out, saying, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is cruelly demon-possessed." But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and implored him, saying, "Send her away, because she keeps shouting at us." But he answered and said, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and began to bow down before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered and said, "It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." But she said, "Yes, Lord, but even the dogs feed on the crumbs which fall from the master's table." In this passage, we see Jesus telling his disciples that he was not sent into the world to save any other races except the Jews or Israelites. Then, Jesus speaks to the woman directly and uses a metaphorical analogy likening her race, the Canaanites, to dogs. It bears a second look. It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. The woman is asking Jesus to cast out a demon from her daughter, but Jesus is saying it isn't right for him to use his powers, which are reserved for the children, or Israelites, and waste them on the dogs, or other races, in this case, a Canaanite. But then the woman takes the racial slur and turns it around on Jesus by saying that even dogs get a few crumbs off the children's table every once in a while. This woman was willing to take Jesus' racial attack because she loved her daughter and had heard of a man who had the ability to heal the sick and cast out demons. A man, let's call him Dave, travels to another region many miles from his hometown. He sees a herd of cows grazing in a pasture enclosed by barbed wire. His friend decides that they need to be set free and asks Dave to do it. Dave agrees, and he sets the cows free. The cows eventually escape to greener pastures, but clearly they were owned by someone. Did Dave commit a sin? Of course he did. Trespassing and destruction or loss of private property, which is as good as stealing since the end result for the owner is identical. And if the number of cows were significant, it could prove disastrous for the owner. Then they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gadarenes. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. For he said to him, "Come out of the man, unclean spirit." Then he asked him, "What is your name?" And he answered, saying, "My name is Legion, for we are many." Also he begged him earnestly that he would not send them out of the country. Now a large herd of swine was feeding near the mountains. So all the demons begged him, saying, "Send us to the swine, that we may enter them." And at once Jesus gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits went out and entered the swine. There were about 2,000. And the herd ran violently down the steep place into the sea, and drowned in the sea. So those who fed the swine fled, and they told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that had happened. Jesus is depicted as bargaining with demons, and then he allows the demons to enter a herd of domestic pigs that were owned by someone other than himself. The pigs run off a cliff and die. As far as the owner was concerned, Jesus stole the herd of pigs. Then, as Jesus is escaping in his boat from the fearful and most likely angry townspeople, he yells back toward the previously demon-possessed man, telling him to go tell everyone what great things the Lord has done for him. I wonder if the owner of the pigs can say the same thing. We all know that calling someone a name or insulting them isn't very nice. In ancient times, the mentally retarded were mistaken to be demon-possessed, and they were often labeled as fools or idiots, which originally meant one who was slow-witted or deficient in understanding. So, in the same way many kids today call another retarded as a derogatory personal attack, those of Jesus' day used the word fool to accomplish the same thing. But Jesus went so far as to claim that if anyone called another person a fool, they were in danger of going to hell. You have heard that it was said to those of old, "You shall not murder, and whoever murders will be in danger of the judgment." But I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whoever says to his brother, "Raca," shall be in danger of the council. But whoever says, "You fool," shall be in danger of hellfire. Clearly, Jesus was making a point that the law did not cover the myriad of lesser sins that one could get away with. So here he ups the stakes on those who thought they were keeping the law by keeping only the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law. Certainly doing anything that would endanger one with the very fires of hell would have to be considered a sin. And if Jesus said so, how can we believe otherwise? Wouldn't it be ironic then if Jesus was later depicted as calling someone a fool, not just once, but twice? But the Lord said to him, "Now do ye Pharisees cleanse the outside of the cup and of the dish, but your inward parts are full of plunder and wickedness. Fools, has not he who has made the outside made the inside also?" Here, Jesus calls the Pharisees fools to their faces. Perhaps the Pharisees had it coming. Perhaps calling someone a fool was not a sin if they, in fact, were fools. Perhaps it's okay to insult someone as long as they are your enemy. But what if we found evidence that Jesus called someone else a fool, someone who clearly did not deserve it? And behold, two of them went the same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 60 furlongs. And they talked together of all the things which had happened. And it came to pass that while they were communed together and reasoned, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. Then he said unto them, "O fools, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and enter into his glory?" Here we have Jesus calling his own disciples fools just because they did not understand why the Messiah had to be crucified. Surely his own disciples did not deserve this level of derision from someone who had taught people to love even their enemies as themselves, not to mention someone who had also taught the people that calling someone a fool endangered them of going to hell.